I have been very committed to myself. Every year I make certain commitments to myself because, remember, I say you need to commit psychologically, you need to commit spiritually, you need to commit emotionally, you need to commit personally. Every year I make certain commitments to myself. In other words, there are certain things, it does not matter what I feel like, it doesn't matter what I'm going through, it doesn't matter what support or lack of support I have, it doesn't matter what motivation or lack of motivation I have, it doesn't matter what opportunity or lack of opportunity I have. There are certain commitments that I make and keep with myself every year that set me up for success. And if you want this year to be the greatest year of your life, if you want 2024 to be different from every other year and every other cycle, you're going to have to make some commitments to yourself, because commitments shape the course of our lives and destinies. Write that down. Commitments shape the course of our lives and our destinies. And so there are certain commitments that you have to be willing to make to yourself that are going to set you up for success or failure. My greatest failures and disappointments in life have come from breaking the commitments that I made to myself. See, a lot of people won't tell you this, and one of the problems that I have with people that consider themselves experts and thought leaders and mentors is that people are not honest enough about their journey. If you know me, my brand is authenticity. My brand is built on personal accountability and responsibility. That's what you're going to always hear from me, and it's one of the reasons that people have connected with me in the way that they do. I'm very transparent about the triumphs and the failures. Everything hasn't been, a cakewalk. You know that there's been adversity. You know there's been challenges. You know there's been failures and disappointments and defeats, and there are still disappointments and defeats and things that happen, and I'm always honest with you about it, because I feel like if I allow my life to be an open book, I'm going to help way more people than putting on a facade. My facade may stroke my ego, but it will never empower other people to successfully engineer the lives that they want. And so when I open up my life and I share transparently from my journey, and I don't try to make everything look so perfect and edited for the platform, it gives people that in-depth look that they need to know who I am, what I'm about, what I value, and it empowers them to create success and models for success in their own lives. If you cannot honor your word to yourself, you will never reach the highest potential. It doesn't matter what gifts you have, what skills you have, what abilities you have. You have to learn how to honor your word to yourself. And a lot of us, I know you're not going to like it, but I'm going to say it anyway. A lot of us are not experiencing the life that we want to live because we are not keeping the commitments to ourselves, and we're not being honest with ourselves. And so we want to blame people, we want to blame circumstances, we want to blame situations, we want to blame this person and that person. But at some point in the journey, you have to take personal responsibility for your life, and you have to realize that our lives are being engineered by the decisions that we make. And if you don't like the direction that your life is going in, you have to take the time to assess the decisions that you're making. Are the decisions that you make or are making, in alignment with the person that you want to become? Write that down. Are the decisions that you are making in alignment with the person that you want to become? Because years ago, when I came to that moment of awareness in my life and awakening in my life, I realized that if it's going to be, it's up to me. I can't blame circumstances. I can't blame conditions. I can't blame other people. I had to take 100% responsibility for my life, and I realized that if my life is going to be different, I'm going to have to be different. What thing am I going to do to shift the trajectory of my life and to bring me into the life that I was born for? At some point, we have to get real, and we have to ask ourselves that critical question of, are my decisions really aligning with the person that I want to become and the greatest version of who I was created to be? Unfortunately, You may have entered 2024 with great enthusiasm and expectation, but if you do not couple that excitement and expectation with execution, this will be like every other year. So a lot of people will come to me, or they will try to sneak in a little question because they're not willing to be mentored or trained, but they want to sneak in a little question. And they'll say to me, Jamel, why am I not getting this result year over year and day to day in their lives? And I began to ask them a series of questions, and they begin to look confused, like, what is the relevance of this? And then when I begin to bring it all together, they don't want to admit it, but they begin to see why they're not being successful in what they want to do. And so the difference in every year for me is execution. It's not anything else. It's not inspiration or motivation, because if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you've heard me talk about how I'm not always inspired and motivated. See, people are not going to tell you that either. They're going to sell it to you, but they're not going to tell you that they're not always inspired and motivated. I inspire and motivate a lot of people all around the world, but there are days when Jamel Sanders is not motivated. And I don't rely on motivation because I'm a very committed person and a very disciplined person and an executor. And so it doesn't matter if I'm motivated or what my emotions are like, I'm going to execute anyway. And what I want you to do is to get up to a point in your life where you stop moving based on your feelings and your emotions, and you start moving with this principle of discipline and passion to make certain things happen and become a reality in your life. I don't know about you, but betrayal never feels good. It never feels good. And those who know me best know that if it's one thing Jamel does not like, I do not like a deceptive, lying person. You want to set me off. You want to start an uproar with me. Be a deceptive person and be a liar. I don't like it. I don't support it. I don't approve of it. And I don't allow those kind of people to have access to my life. And betrayal, it hurts. When somebody does you wrong, they stab you in the back, they steal something from you, it doesn't feel good. But even worse than that is that a lot of times we are betraying ourselves. And even though I've had some deep pain and betrayal in my life, the greatest betrayal came from Jamel Sanders. It didn't come from anybody else. It didn't come from anything else. It came from me because of the commitments that I didn't keep and the promises that I made to myself that I broke that showed me that I was not really serious about the things that I said I was serious about in my life. And you may be asking today, how do you betray yourself? And, I want to give you some primary ways that you do that. And the number one way that we betray ourselves is by not keeping the commitments we make to ourselves. Every year you keep telling yourself, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change careers. I'm going to change industries. I'm going to fill this skill gap, bridge the skill gap or knowledge gap in my life so that I can go further. I'm going to invest more time in meaningful relationships and authentic connections in my life. Every year we make all of these commitments to ourselves, and we do not keep the commitments. And when we do that, we betray ourselves. So what happens? When you betray yourselves, you don't have any faith in your word, and you don't have any faith in the word of other people. And so that was a whole psychological construct and internal narrative that I had to work through, because I had broken years ago, nothing recently, but years ago, but I had broken so many promises to myself that when it came time for other people and they made certain promises and could believe them, because I didn't believe myself. I didn't keep my word with myself, and I think that's so important because that has so much to do with the shaping of your paradigm and the scripting of the internal narrative that is going on the inside of you. And the other way we betray ourselves is by being careless with the seed of our potential. You know me, I'm a potential developer. It doesn't matter who I come in contact with, where I am in the world, I'm going to see potential. And if a person allows me, I'm going to help them to develop that potential. And anybody who is a real friend or part of the inner circle of my life knows that Jamel is potential. I'm very serious about cultivating it, developing it,